Welcome to the Daily TV Mass, 40 Days of Lent online retreat. Day 2, the Passion of Jesus Christ according to the Gospel of John. The Betrayal of Jesus with Cardinal Thomas Collins.
Jesus went out with his disciples across the Kidron Valley to a place where there was a garden, which he and his disciples entered. Now Judas, who betrayed him, also knew the place, because Jesus often met there with his disciples. So Judas brought a detachment of soldiers, together with police from the chief priests and the Pharisees, and they came there with lanterns and torches and weapons. Then Jesus, knowing all that was to happen to him, came forward and asked them,
"Whom are you looking for?"
They answered,
"Jesus of Nazareth."
"I am he."
Judas, who betrayed him, was standing with them. When Jesus said to them, "I am he," they stepped back and fell to the ground. Again he asked them,
"Whom are you looking for?"
"Jesus of Nazareth."
"I told you that I am he. So if you're looking for me, let these men go."
This was to fulfill the word that he had spoken. I did not lose a single one of those whom you gave me. Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it, struck the high priest's slave, and cut off his right ear. The slave's name was Malchus. Jesus said to Peter,
"Put your sword back into its sheath. Am I not to drink the cup that the Father has given me?"
So the soldiers, their officer, and the Jewish police arrested Jesus and bound him. First they took him to Annas, who was a father-in-law of Caiaphas, the high priest that year. Caiaphas was the one who had advised the Jews that it was better to have one person die for the people. Simon Peter and another disciple followed Jesus. Since that disciple was known to the high priest, he went with Jesus into the courtyard of the high priest. But Peter was standing outside at the gate. So the other disciple, who was known to the high priest, went out, spoke to the woman who guarded the gate, and brought Peter in. The woman said to Peter,
"You are not also one of this man's disciples, are you?"
Peter said,
"I am not."
Now the slaves and the police had made a charcoal fire because it was cold, and they were standing around it and warming themselves. Peter also was standing with them and warming himself. Then the high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples and about his teaching. Jesus answered,
"I have spoken openly to the world. I have always taught in synagogues and in the temple, where all the Jews come together. I have said nothing in secret. Why do you ask me? Ask those who heard what I said to them. They know what I said."
When he had said this, one of the police standing nearby struck Jesus on the face, saying,
"Is that how you answer the high priest?"
"If I have spoken wrongly, testify to the wrong. But if I have spoken rightly, why do you strike me?"
Then Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself. They asked him,
"You are not also one of his disciples, are you?"
He denied it and said,
"I am not."
One of the slaves of the high priest, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, asked,
"Did I not see you in the garden with him?"
Again Peter denied it. At that moment, the cock crowed.
Judas and Peter were both privileged to be chosen by Jesus to be apostles, and both had spent years close to him, listening to his teaching and experiencing his friendship. Yet their paths diverged. Judas was at the Last Supper, and St. John mentions that when he left on his errand of betrayal, it was night. He turned from light to darkness. He used his privileged knowledge of where Jesus met with his disciples to lead the soldiers to that place. With torches and lanterns, they came through the night to arrest the one who was the light of the world. Not much is said of Judas in the Passion according to John, but there he is in the garden, his task of betrayal accomplished, standing with the enemies of Jesus. We must ask ourselves how Judas could have been so resistant to so many graces showered upon him. How could one so close to Jesus stand with his enemies? Do we ever do that? We who have been so richly blessed as disciples. As Judas betrayed Jesus, Peter denied him. He who earlier was so quick to express his loyalty fails when confronted by the servants around the charcoal fire in the courtyard. Yet at least Peter was there, trying his best to be close to Jesus. In the garden he blunders, and in the courtyard he fails in courage. But for all that, he loves Jesus. And when he sins, he has hope of forgiveness and does not succumb to despair. After the resurrection, at another charcoal fire beside the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus is offering food to his disciples, 3 times he will ask the man who denied him 3 times, "Do you love me?" For all his failures, Peter loves Jesus. He is a model of repentance for us all, who are imperfect disciples like him.
Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they nailed him to the tree?
Join us tomorrow for Day 3, the Passion of Jesus Christ according to the Gospel of John, Jesus before Pilate, with Cardinal Thomas Collins.